So the reflection video that we had to talk about today was a video that talks about the apparel industry and how it affects the environment. The title of our video was our high cost for cheap fashion. And in this particular speaker states that she talks about how the environment and how the apparel industry is hurting the environment and how it is affecting us as humans living on the environment and how it will affect us in the future. The speaker in this presentation never really gives a specific company, so I'm going to be using a company to kind of compare to what she was saying, to relate information that may have been misleading to others. And the company that I'm going to choose is Nike because most everybody in the world owns Nike. So to start off here, the speaker says that apparel industry is the second worst, most polluting industry in the world. And I agree with that statement that she said. Not because of what they make, but it's more of all the factories that each company has. I guarantee each company probably has thousands of factories all around the world, setting pollution up in the air, not disposing waste properly. A stat that she showed us was that back in the 1960s, each year the average person bought 25 new pieces of clothing. And today it's 3 times as high. That is something that I personally don't believe in, just because I know personally I don't go buy. I'm not a big clothes buyer. The only time when I have to buy clothes are when things get too small or when things just are past the use of, like shoes, like when they're ripped out completely. But I'm not a big fashion person. I don't go out and look at the new trends and have to go buy the newest and greatest. So the reason why like everything went down, or why we started buying so many more clothes since the 1960s, was because she said the main reason was that the trade barriers went up due to cheap labor, materials, and the cost. As a as the business perspective of this, I can see why companies are doing this, because one, everyone is in business to make money. No one is in there just to live a comfortable life. So these companies and factories that are outsourcing their work for cheaper labor, I think they're doing a not a deed to just like a deed for people, but they're doing something that will benefit their company and also benefit others, and I will explain to that a little bit later in the talk here. Um, but she said that the reason why the clothes or the apparel industry is so bad now is because they went away from using natural materials and are using polyester. And polyester is a man-made synthetic material that is used from uh, fossil fuels, and it's bad because it pollutes everything. There's microfibers of the polyester in the oceans, and they did a study at a fish market that 1 in every 4 fish had the microplastics in it. And she gave 4 things on why the polyester is bad. Is because it's non-biodegradable. Um, I don't know how much I agree with that. I feel like it's biodegradable, but it might take a way long time, like any plastic does. Another bad thing for it is the microplastics are in the ocean. And then the non-breathable, she's saying that since the clothes are not natural, they trap more heat in them, which make you sweat more, and it's very energy intensive to make. Um, So going on here, China is most of the clothes come from. Um, three-fourths of the energy supply um, is from coal. So three-fourths of all the energy that the apparel industry uses is coming from coal, which is a very strong pollutant in the air. The apparel industry accounts for 10% of the carbon output. That's 5 times more than the airlines. Um, that's another situation in this where the speaker is talking that I agree with to a certain extent, because I know factories do pollute a lot or have a lot of pollution, but also airplanes, the fuel that they use is very high pollutant, and planes are traveling all day 24/7. Um, no one's winning in this situation that we have here. Um, Another topic that the speaker says is that the companies of the apparel industry are not being ethical on how they're making their products. And she kind of gave 5 topics that the pictures aren't transparent, so there's more than what you see from the company. The pictures don't show the certain health care and the wages that they offer. They don't show the extra side factories that they may have, and they don't show what materials they're using. So what a shadow factory is, um, it's a pretty much just a company outsourcing to one of their smaller factories that are in a less fortunate country, because they have the cheap labor for the people in there. And as I said earlier, she talked about this, and I don't agree with what she said about these companies are bad for doing this. I think it's actually a great idea for companies to outsource. Yes, granted, we do lose jobs in the United States, but at the same time, we're giving people that may not have an opportunity to have jobs in another country, we give them jobs, and that might be their only source of work in that area. So by companies doing that, they are using using their resources to make their product to make money, and also bettering someone else's life. Um, and the speaker talked about a new standard for the fashion industry. They want it to be user-centered design, use natural materials, and open door policy. Um, I wasn't really for sure on what company she was talking about that would do this, but my company, Nike, that I was talking about earlier, um, I feel like they are user-centered just because they're more focused on for the consumers. Um, and they use natural resources. For example, 19% of the polyester Nike uses is recycled. Um, Nike has helped recycle 82 million water bottles, and they use that as for their clothing and their shoes. The rubber that Nike uses, it's 70% of the Nike shoes use environmentally preferred rubber. Um, they use Eva foam, which is very environmentally friendly, and that's also what they use in their shoes. And then they use cotton, and cotton is an organic product that they use, and that the speaker in um, the video was talking about, that they don't use it, but Nike actually does use those. Um, and the speaker was talking about things to help a consumer on their purchase. Be like, check the tags. I personally check the tags because I like to see what my clothes are made of, because if they're cotton, cotton shrinks, and if it shrinks, it's not going to fit me any much longer. And the last thing here I'll talk about is the impact this video had on me. The impact this video had on me is not I wouldn't say it's a great one, but it definitely changed my mind. It definitely taught me things. But I will still buy Nike products. I'm still gonna buy clothing each year just because it's hard for me personally to find clothes because I have to go to big and tall stores to find some things, and most secondhand shops don't have those, um and I mean the clothes that I've had for a while. I mean this sweatshirt I've had for 4 or 5 years. Um, so the clothes that I have don't usually get put in landfills, and when I do have clothes that I like to get rid of, we have garage sales to give them to other people when they're out of my use.